Hello everyone, Christina Werner here. Welcome to another video at my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be using some new products from Concord and Ninth. Now they just came out with 6 brand new colors for their color line, so I'm going to be using those today. And I'm also using the Altogether Alpha lowercase and uppercase dies. So this is the greeting I'm going for today. You are kind of the best ever. And I wanted to cut out all of these letters, paint them so they're each individual different colors and patterns, and then stack them up and create a custom greeting on my card. So the first thing I did was I cut all of the letters. Now, this was a lot of die cutting. For the lowercase letters, because I was going to be stacking the letters so they were more substantial, almost like a faux chipboard look, I had to cut out the letters multiple times. My plan was for 3 layers of white, and then the top layer of watercolor paper would be painted. So in total, I had to cut out these little lowercase letters 6 times so that I had enough of every single letter, because I needed that lowercase e 4 times, and it only gives me 2 each time I cut it. So I had to cut it out 6 times. And then as far as the uppercase goes, I just use that for the uppercase Y at the beginning of the greeting. And also I wanted the word best all in caps. So after I cut out all of the plain white cardstock, and that was 110-pound cardstock, by the way, I then cut out the letters I needed using watercolor paper. And I just used Strathmore watercolor paper, the pre-cut 5x7 that I like to use a lot. When it comes to painting all of these individual letters, this was my method for it. I decided to use a piece of just inexpensive printer paper, computer paper, and I taped that to a hardboard, and then I put down some lines of repositionable adhesive. And I arranged my greeting on top of that repositional adhesive, and then I started painting each one of the letters. Now, it was quite time consuming to go through and pick out each one of these letters, but I really think it was worth it. In the end, I think it turned out really, really amazing. So when I filmed this, I was actually on a live stream with my premium members, and it was really fun to just talk and, converse with all of them. And in total, this card took 2.5 hours. And there were some troopers that stayed there for the whole time. Bless them, because it was a long time of painting and assembling all these letters. I think you could definitely get a similar look on a card and not do as long of a greeting. You could probably do just happy birthday and it would be shorter, or celebrate you, or just hello, something like that. And you would have had a much more, what's the word? Not as time-consuming card. We'll put it that way. So after I started painting all these letters, my method for painting them was this. I wanted most of the letters to be painted in a more diluted shade. So this is the color Watermelon, and I've diluted it quite a bit, so it's a very, very pale pink. And then I'm coming in with Creamsicle, and this one I'm going to dilute a lot as well. So it's going to be fairly light. And then after I've painted everything in like a lighter shade, I'm going to come back and paint over it with darker shades of either the same color, just at more full strength, or a different color altogether. I'm just going to kind of mix and match. And I'm going to do some polka dots and stripes and wavy lines and things like that. Now you'll notice that the capital Y and capital B are a more intense pink. That was before I really decided I wanted to have them be a more pale shade. So when it comes to finishing those letters, I'm actually going to use a gold paint on top. So you'll see me pick out a gold paint. I did the same thing with Rainforest. This is the darker kind of teal, dusty teal shade. And I wanted some darker versions of that. And then I diluted it quite a bit and made it much lighter. So for those darker letters, I'm going to put gold on top of those as well. I'm going to turn on some music so you can finish watching all of the painting, because there was a lot of painting, but I also want to include it so you can see how each letter was done. And then I'll be back to continue talking about how I assembled everything. then I spent a copious amount of time picking out all of those letters, and the remaining ones I didn't use, I put back inside my little pouch where I stored the die so I can pull them out later because there were plenty of letters that I could use later. And then I started to stack these little die cuts. And this was the method that was so super fast for me. I put glue on the 3 white layers and then picked everything up with this wax tool. There's a lot of companies with tools like this. I have ones from Trinity Stamps, Gina K, and also SimonsStamp.com. I think I have one from Pinkfresh as well, but anything with like a wax tip like placement tool that you have would work great for this. So I'm going to show you a few more times how fast it was to stack all of these dies. Put glue on the 3 layers of white and then picked everything up with that wax tool or wax tip and then put them together. And I was, because the liquid glue wasn't dry yet, I was able to really kind of like move things around and get them lined up just right. And I did not speed up this footage of putting these die cut letters together at all. And you can see how fast it goes together. I think for such a tedious thing to do with all of these letters, this was the fastest part of all. I think all the die cutting and picking the letters out took much, much, much longer. So then I arranged everything on a 5x7 piece of Rainforest cardstock. Rainforest is one of the new colors, and it's just the most beautiful dark green teal shade. It's just beautiful. So I arranged all of the letters, which also took a long period of time because I was very picky. And once I had them in place, I then picked up each one individually with some tweezers, added glue on the back, and then adhered it down to my card front. So I did take a little bit of tape and tape my cardstock down to the surface of, my glass mat here, because I was concerned about possibly, accidentally jostling my cardstock or picking it up on accident, and then all the letters would go flying and I would have to rearrange these. So I just taped it to my surface so it wouldn't move around. And once everything was adhered using that liquid glue, I put some paper weights on top to hold it in place while it dried. I then prepped a 5x7 white card base. This was made out of some Neenah Classic Crest Solar White 110-pound cardstock. And I just adhered that card design to the card base. And at this point, I was going to be done, but then I thought, if it feels like it needs a border of some sort. And the letters were so playful and kind of wonky, I decided to add kind of a really unique gold scalloped border. So I first sketched on kind of some wonky scallops, and then I went back in with that same gold shade, the color Star from Yuli Watercolors, and I painted the border. And I basically put in the line of the scallop edge and then went back over and filled in that area all the way to the edge of the cardstock. Now, this is not watercolor paper, it's a regular cardstock. So I made sure my paint was very, very thick before I painted it because I didn't want to add like a more, like lots of water to my project. So here is the finished card. I absolutely love it. I keep thinking it sort of looks like a circus, but I think it turned out really, really cute and definitely a labor of love. Definitely a labor of love. Like I said before, this took 2.5 hours to complete, but I think I would do it again in a heartbeat. This might be one of those fun projects that you can do when you're watching a movie or something like that because you're doing a bunch of die cutting and like adhering everything together. I think it could be really, really fun. And if you have some special phrase that you use for someone or an inside joke or something, it's really fun to do something like that with these custom die cut gradings. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'll be back on Monday with my weekly live stream. Please come back and join me at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and I will see you then. Thanks for watching.